All right, YouTube, how y'all doing today? It's your boy Jamie May. I am here with Combat Esports Media.
And
All right.
I'm Darkside, also Combat Esports Media.
Yes, sir. And today we have the owner of DMF and one of the biggest UFC 4 and Twitch streamers, Sir Coty Dankh. Coty, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me. It's just, I'm pretty excited about what you guys are doing here. So, only right that I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about it. So, but nah, I'm good, man. DMF's going good. Everything I've seen from combat esports media has looked really good so far. So, can't complain, man.
Yes, sir. And let's jump right into the questions. And Coty, I just want to ask you, man. DMF is on a bit of a resurgence. If you're a OG, you remember those UFC 3 DMF, tourneys. So, you just want to elaborate on how you started DMF and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, we started DMF way back when the BMF fight first happened. We did like a DMF Xbox tournament. It was just supposed to be a one-off, just like for shits and giggles, and ended up being, everybody got super into it. Everybody was asking when's the next tournament gonna be. So, ended up getting love from Pryoxis, Martial Mind, and a lot of content creators out there that brought some extra attention to it. Ended up having like a lot more traction than I expected. So I was like, screw it, we'll just make it like a regular thing. So we did some tournaments, and then as we waited for UFC 4 to come out, and then once it dropped, we did a couple on UFC 4. That was at the beginning of the game when it was wild, and every tournament was like, oh, you can like transition from the clinch. Like, we were figuring out the game as we were competing. So it was pretty fun. It was super loose. Like, we didn't have a lot of structure to it. And then, yeah, I mean, UFC 4, with it kind of losing some steam, people waiting for 5, this and that, we kind of fell off with them. But as, ESPC's been getting talked about, and I started getting really into Fight Night, and I thought, man, there's no competitive scene for Fight Night. Why don't we bring back the DMFs? And add in, there's a lot of people. There's people doing calf matchups. There's people doing, super competitive, like meta matchups, like ESFL, which I love that too. Like, I love both of those. Pry was doing the calves, and I've seen people do different stuff, but I never saw a lot of Fight Night leagues since starting moving DMF over to some Fight Night. I have learned that there actually is some Fight Night leagues out there. Now, they're pretty low key. None of them really use YouTube. None of them really use Twitch. They're really mostly through Discord, which kind of just shows like it just speaks for Fight Night. Like, the community is so niche. It's like super like dudes who've been playing it. They're not looking to like be the next esports player. They're just like, they've been enjoying this game for like almost 12 years, and they're just like trying to play other people who are good without spam. So I think boxing has really like made the new, and everybody's anticipation of UFC 5 and Fight Night and the new Fight Night and ESBC. That's definitely like kind of got everybody remotivated, and we added a lot of structure with the rankings, and some money tournaments, and done money tournaments in the past, like the original, but to have some structure to it and to have some regular fight cards and kind of switch it up, do something fresh, I feel like definitely kind of I don't know, made DMF into something that I was like, okay, this could actually be something where I want to like do long term. But it's been fun, man. I've just genuinely enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, man. So since starting back with DMF, what's something that you probably said is challenging trying to get like a player base? Because you're like one of the rare leagues that will do not just one type of game. You actually do two, and not just two different cards. You do them on the same card. So what do you think's kind of been like? What's been like your biggest challenge, kind of like combining UFC and Fight Night onto one fight card?
Well, I mean, the thing that's helped definitely is like, keeping things, while you want to have some structure, because it just makes it easier to, like, with having certain days of the week. Now we have Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. We have a time. We have 11 for Tuesday and Sunday, and then 8 p.m. for Thursday. Like, having some structure like that's good, and having a general fight card is good. but at the same time, like something that's helped a lot has been like keeping it semi-loose. Because at the end of the day, man, if you're gonna give 60 different people an opportunity, or like a fight during the same time period, even if it is going on for a long time, like our events do go, you know, it's tough. Like, and I have a lot of history with the ESFL and doing with certain with other leagues, and it's tough when you're trying. You have usually one or the other. You either have the leagues like ESFL where there's a fight order, you got to be there. If you miss that order, you're DQ'd, you're scratched, it's over, and you're gonna have several of those every night, and not to mention that, but you're gonna have intermissions throughout every fight because certain people aren't ready. And because I want to give as many people an opportunity to play, because I don't want to have all these DQs and pullouts, I feel like something that's compensated that and made it, because like you said, it isn't easy when you're going. Not only is it 2 games, but there's PlayStation for UFC too. So we have to have PlayStation UFC, Xbox UFC, and Fight Night. But I do feel like while it does make things a little bit difficult sometimes. Having a little bit of flexibility, but at the same time having a little structure, like having that perfect balance. And obviously we're learning as we go, and kind of, I'm open-minded to anything that makes the league, better on a week-to-week basis. Really, it's on, with 3 events a week, really it's on I would say daily, but at least, 3 times a week, we're looking for, all right, this happened, I like this, what can we change? And I've been blessed to have some help around me too, for sure, because I wouldn't be able to do all this shit by myself. There's just no way. But no, it hasn't been easy, especially like you said, playing multiple games with the PlayStation 2. But I think it's worth it. The community needs more, and everybody wants to make it like a competition thing. Like, oh yeah, you do this. Oh yeah, fuck this league. It's like, nah, it's the opposite of that. Go compete in that. Go watch them. Go retweet them. Go follow them. All that. Because that's only, if you really want to support DMF and support me, then you should go support them too. Because our community is too small to be on some, oh nah, just, bring them down, it'll build me up. It's the opposite. If they grow, we grow. So I want ESFL to blow up. I want all these, PBL is like one of the main Fight Night ones I always hear about and see. I want all these ones to blow up, because that's only going to help me. So like, I don't like the competition aspect a lot of people bring to it. If you just make it like a community thing, then and have a little bit of flexibility for people, different time zones. That's another thing. Not only are we on different games, different systems, we got people playing in Germany. We got people playing in friggin' India. We have a couple people like in the Middle East. We've had obviously US, Canada, UK, Ireland. Like literally, I just said Ireland. I said the UK, but you know what you see what I'm getting at. We got people all over. We got different systems, different games. But while it might make it a little bit more confusing, a little bit more work, with the proper help, the proper like little bit of structure, a little bit of flexibility, I feel like it just gives more people an opportunity to play. And at the end of the day, if you have more people who have an opportunity to play, then it's only going to help. Like, you don't want to limit things to just one narrow, way for like people have to play on this system, or yeah, you could pick, like I get why a lot of people stick to one game, but I feel like a lot of people who love Fight Night love UFC, just like a lot of MMA fans love boxing and vice versa. So I like doing something new. Plus, like we got out at the beginning, it's like everybody's doing their own thing, and it doesn't have to be us against them. It's like I'm doing something new, like let's do that, support both. Like, so there's difficulties with it, but it's fun, and the way we've been doing it has been working pretty smooth, and it's only getting smoother. We've only been back at it for like, time flies, I don't know, at least 3, maybe up to 4 months, 3-4 months, and I swear every week the card's getting better. Every week things are getting like a little bit smoother. So definitely been difficult with some things, but still coming together pretty nicely. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and June 4th, through 5th, the ESFL is having, their live event, which, Combat Esports Media will be there, full effect,
Nice.
gang, and I know they're, this is the next step in the community because there's really not a lot of live events with Fight Night, and then really with UFC 4. Really, I think the only one before this was one for UFC 2. That was what, 2014, 2015. So that's a while ago.
Shout out to MMA, bro.
So that's a while
The
ago,
winner.
man. So do you see
Insane.
more like leagues like DMF, like the ESFL, having more live events? Is that something that you're planning on doing?
I mean, honestly, I'm shocked that it hasn't already happened. Like, I mean, it just comes down to like, I get why there isn't. EA Sports, we could go on and on with their mishaps and all that, but I won't even. That's for another video. But not only that, but it's like the MMA community is already niche. And the bad thing is for us that EA has Madden, they have FIFA. The shitty thing is MMA fans are getting left out. And I do think, and not only that, combat sports fans, I should say, have been left out for a long time. If you're a combat sports fan and you're a gamer, it has been rough for you, really, since the beginning of time, gaming history. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. We haven't had a whole lot of games. And I just feel like that's why you don't see a lot, because the reality is UFC 4 is a very niche game. Like, the community is small. And that's why I respect ESFL for staying consistent, because, especially UFC 4, because, I mean, y'all both know the problems that most of the community have with the game. 3 had its issues, 2 had its issues, but 4, it's like new level of like hate. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the game can be very fun, and I enjoy it a lot on the DMF because there's certain rules that protect people in the game to have a better time. The reality is, like, ranked chased a lot of the player base away from the game. And certain individuals, the reality is, like, the community is small enough to where a small group of people made a big difference. And there's a small group of people, T4H, that literally, I feel like, chased away like 20% of the player base. Because as somebody who streamed the game daily, I'm telling you, the amount of people who don't play the game because they've been spammed too much is insane. Just think about it's one thing for us. It's a whole nother thing for a guy who plays here and there. He just wants to have a good time. He just watched UFC 273s, hyped up. He wants to go friggin' use Hamza, and then he gets on and it's just standing guillotine, back sitting rear naked choke, whatever. And shit like that has chased away a lot of the player base. So I get why that chased away the player base, the popularity goes down, so then the events go down, and then when less and less people do it and stream it, and then it's a snowball effect. That's why the community needs more stuff. I already, since doing this, and I didn't start shit, I'm not a trendsetter. There's been plenty other leagues and all that type of stuff. But I'm just saying, since I started this league, I've seen other things, so much other stuff already. Friends and people that I just know through the community have been like, oh, I'm going to start this. I'm going to do this. And it's not like, and the worst thing is when people are like, oh, you're jocking so-and-so. You're jocking so. No, this is shit like that is why our community's small. Like, you got to be like, it's the opposite.
Preach.
It's like, you motivated me to want to do some more shit. The game was dry. You brought something that brought some motivation to it. Now I'm motivated and I'm going to do my own spin of things. Like, so when people start new leagues, everybody, like, I've had people in my chat be like, oh yeah, fucking, they're not going to grow like this, and this is the problem with this league, or this and that. It's like, dude, like, DMF ain't perfect. None of those leagues are perfect. Whatever the hell, any of those events, I'm sure they got their flaws. But if you really want the community to grow, you have to go support ESFL, support DMF, support the Fight Night leagues. You have to literally follow all of them, support, retweet them, follow them on social media. Like, if you just are like, oh, I'm only going to fuck with this one because those guys, like, dude, if you want the community to grow, it's literally like, this ain't Madden, this isn't FIFA. Our community's small, dude. So when you create like barriers like that where you're only going to support certain people, then your friends only do that, the same thing, then your friends, and that goes on, and then now you got like a small community divided into even smaller communities. It's like, dude, like, if you want more ESFL live events, everybody complains we don't get no events, but then you can't even get 100 people into a chat. And I get friendly banter and like competitiveness, but you can't even have 100, let alone 2, 3, 400 people into an ESFL chat without like the most ridiculous. Again, I'm cool with like, you suck, I'll beat you at the game, I beat you. All that shit's cool, but like, people aren't gonna want to sponsor the game. Events aren't gonna want to like have serious like live events, this and that. When like 10% is like overly ridiculous toxic. It's like, and small percentages like that makes like, you know, the whole community look bad. So it's like, my big thing would be, if you want more live events, if you want more leagues, you want more like what you guys are doing, like media companies, you want the community. That's how the community grows. People act like they're just gonna drop UFC 5 and the community is gonna be like Madden all of a sudden. Like, no, Madden grew to that point. Well, one, yeah, it's football. That's a bigger sport, but also like gaming community and stuff like that grows because there's more, like, if streamers grow, then more streamers are inspired. Oh shit, that streamer blew up on that game, I'm gonna do the same thing. Oh, I like, other guy doesn't even want to like grow a stream. He's just like, oh, I found this stream off my favorite stream, or this game off my favorite streamers, and now he plays that every day. Like, so you gotta have the community grow piece by piece, like the streamers, the events, the leagues, all that, if you want the game to really grow. So I think we will get more events. UFC 5, I'm hoping we get more. I think ESBC Fight Night, even if ESBC like isn't what people think it's going to be, and I have high hopes, and I think eventually it's going to be really good. I think it's going to need time, and people are going to have to be patient, but I do think ESBC is going to work its kinks out, and it's going to be a good game. And just having as sad as this is, just having 2 boxing games instead of 1, like right now it's like, oh, fuck Fight Night. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go. Like, if you're a boxing fan, you want to play a boxing game, what are you gonna do? Go play Mike Tyson's Punch Out, or Mike Tyson's Punch Out? Like, it's Fight Night or Fight Night. Like, and I mean, I love Fight Night, but we gotta have some competition now. Oh, if we're really truly blessed, we'll eventually get that Bellator 1 game, even if it's dog shit, just to have another one. So the other, you know, like when Uber came out and was blew the fuck up, then Lyft came out and they just fucking undercut each other over and over and over and over until the prices became like half of what they started out to be. And I mean, it's like business 101. Like, UFC 4 doesn't need to be good. They don't give a shit because the MMA fans are gonna buy it because they're an MMA fan and it's the only MMA game. So once we have some options, then the game, EA Sports will be like, damn, we're going to have to make this game a little less dog shit because the company over there has a game too. And the MMA fans will have 2 to choose from instead of 1.
Yeah.
But,
and I think that was a good point that you made about, you know, the toxicity in the community. Personally, me, I don't even like when I'm like watching the ESFL. Yes, I watch the yes, I do. I know it's hard to believe. I know, cause you know my past, you know the things I've had to say, but I do watch the ESFL because, like you said, it's a small community, man. Like, honestly speaking, this made me really open my eyes because I was like, no offense, I was like F the ESFL when I first started. Like, for the first 5 months, I was like, I can't support this because of the player base. And then I saw the UFC post, they posted a Call of Duty tournament. The UFC hosted a Call of Duty tournament rather than a UFC for, like, they promoted it like it was in, like, I believe during that time, I believe Usman and who was it? I believe it was Usman and Masvidal were fighting, and they promoted that like a bunch of times during that broadcast, and we got nothing, no UFC 4, no nothing. So that really made me open my eyes. So it was like, man, they're not getting any backing. They're doing this on their own, man. Like, what am I doing? You know? And like you said, man, I think in general, just the player base just really has to get a lot better for us to grow as a community, because at the end of the day, the player base is the community, man. When people, like you said, T4H, no disrespect to those guys, but when your player base is like that, that deters away. No, no disrespect. We keep professionalism over here at Combat Esports. On my GMMA channel, that would have been different. But Combat Esports Media, we keep it professional. Like I was saying, you get those guys and you get the casual players, they ruin the game. So now those casual players don't fucking like the player base, and now what happens? The community can't grow because there is no fucking community to grow because nobody plays the game. But that was a real great point. Darkside, you want to add anything?
Yeah, kind of what both you guys touched on. I mean, one big thing I thought that Coty talked about was definitely what he was talking about, like the casual base. Like, if you think how we feel about this, like, we're like what we consider like the hardcore type of players. Like, as bad as the game is, as much as we critique the game, we'll probably play it anyways, no matter how bad it is. But like, imagine the casual player, like Coty was saying, who's just like he just watched the UFC event, he's just trying to have some fun in the UFC game. He gets in there, he's getting like extremely like cheesed out online. Like, what we would consider cheese, he might think that's just like the norm for like online play and stuff like that. So he might just be like, yeah, I'm never playing this again. One fan gone just like that. And that just cascades over and over again. Multiple casual players playing that, running into people online who are just using all those dirty tactics like they normally use. And that just kills the player base. And to go along with that too, I was kind of the same way with, like Jay said, with the ESFL. And in the beginning, when I first started learning about the ESFL, I kind of didn't support it as much because I'm like, I was watching the fights. I'm like, man, these guys are just like, using all the OP fighters, all the tactics they're using to try to win. I was kind of like, I'm not going to really support that and all that. But then I kind of had to think about it. Like, there's like, if you look at it that way, like, there's good guys in the ESFL for sure. Like, lots of good players who play clean, who are really trying to get their name out there. And they're really good players and really trying to compete. And I think it'd be like doing them a disservice if we just like, because of like the bad apples in the group per se, that we just like, disqualify, like trying to get them out there and stuff like that too. Just like Bailey and Rob. Like, Bailey and Rob are like two great guys in the community, and like we'd be doing them a disservice too, because they basically commentate on every ESFL event. We do them a disservice too. We didn't support them too. So like me personally, I don't really agree with some of the things that go on in the UFC competitive scene. But yeah, I'm still going to the ESFL event in Vegas. I'm still going to support the event, even though I probably would never compete in the ESFL in its current faction right now, just because I don't really agree with how the game is right now. But that's like, this also goes into like, it's not the player's fault necessarily. It all comes back to how the game is made. If the game was in a better state, the players wouldn't be able to, use the exploits and things that they use the way that they're using it. So we can't all blame the players for that as well. They have to deal with what the game that we have at the moment. But for sure, I think the more we support the community, the more we'll grow. And, a lot of people in the community got to take a look at themselves in the mirror, because a lot of them are probably some of the things that are wrong in the community probably they're doing as well. A lot of people like to deflect blame and stuff in this community, but I think if they all just kind of look at it in a more positive light, and more people just try to not be as toxic, because the community can get very, very toxic.
Oh, trust me,
I know. Yeah, I bet. They just chill out a little bit, and I think it comes down to the, like I just mentioned, like the way the game is made also, because like Coty said, like UFC 2 had its issues, yes, like a lot of people like that game, it's like their favorite UFC game. UFC 3 had issues, yes, but it was nowhere near as many issues and as bad as UFC 4 has been so far, for sure. But I think as more time goes on, hopefully this will be the first live event for many to come in the future, depending on how the support that they get there. Keep supporting the ESFL, keep supporting DMF and all the other leagues that are in the competitive space, and hopefully the community will keep growing, and we'll get more things to help the community keep flourishing.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say one more thing is like, dude, I was there when the game first came out. I got the game early. Like, shout out. That was when the friggin' EA team was on it. They were friggin'. I was really man. People were calling me, and it's funny to laugh at now because everybody's like, "Oh, you're a hater." And I'm like, dude, what? If nobody wants the game to be good, like better more than me, I literally had to suffer through that shit. For like DMF made it like more. It finally made it fun again. I was gone. I was playing Fight Night really solely. I fucking left UFC, but DMF made it fun again. But it's funny thinking about that now when at the beginning of the game, people were calling me an EA shill because they gave me the game early. I got the game 2 weeks early, and I was saying, like, yeah, there's a lot of problems, but they're going to fix it. Because UFC 3, that's the thing that made it different. UFC 3 had a shitload of problems. There was a point where you could uppercut somebody, you could ducking uppercut somebody from like across the fucking mat. And, I don't know. There was some crazy shit on that game when that came out, bro. I used to die laughing at some of the exploits that were in that game when it first came out, bro. But the thing that made it different than 4 was that Jeff, first of all, and my man was, and you can say what you want, you know, he's made his mistakes in the game, but he was around to constantly, my man was literally the lead developer for EA UFC 3, and he would be on Twitter like nightly. Like, people would be like, yo, what's up with this exploit? And my man would literally respond like, we're working on it, this and that. And like, people would troll him and he would still respond like every day, like, we're working on this. And they would work on it and they would fix kinks in the game. 4, it was like, oh yeah, we made some fuck ups, deal with it. Oh, you literally, I don't know how I just missed that. That's the perfect line. UFC 3, you had a guy who literally would be on Twitter, not only in the forums, he was on Twitter taking abuse, responding to people who were trolling him daily, telling them, giving them fucking hourly updates on a game. UFC 4, their developer literally told one of the players who has more playtime on this game than anybody in the entire community. He expressed some issues about the game. He wasn't even that disrespectful. And they literally told him, quote, go play UFC 3 then. The lead developer for UFC 4 did. Dog. Like, and that tweet got a little bit of traction in the UFC. Like, somebody screenshotted it. Not even the kid he said it to. But somebody, like, posted on Twitter. And actually, I think that might have been Proxys. Yeah. And it kind of, like, blew up.
He made a video on that shit, too.
Oh, he made a video. Yeah, that's right. And it got some traction. And, like, my thing is, like, how does EA not see that and fire that guy? Now, I don't want to see nobody lose their job. You know what I mean? Maybe he was in a bad day, whatever. Like, I'm not saying develop, like, you know, somebody like staff like him can't have a bad day, can't make a mistake. I don't want to see nobody lose their job. But at the end of the day, man, how are you going to have somebody whose literal job is to work on a game and communicate to the player base of that game how to make that game better? He literally told one of the core community members, oh, if you don't like it, go play the old game. Like, dog, if that's my game, you are fired. You are fired. And I don't feel bad. Honestly. I know I just said I don't want him to lose his job. But if that's my company, I'm sorry. Like, but you gotta go. You just literally did the opposite. That's like being Dana White and saying your UFC fighter sucks. Like, oh, you don't like Israel? Well, go watch some old fights. Like, what? Like, that's like, it just doesn't, it made no sense. So as much as hate as Jeff Harrower got, it's like, bro, y'all be careful what you wish for. Because you said you wanted new developers over there, and now you got a guy who literally told you, oh, you don't like the game? Go play the old one. My boy Jeff would have never did us dirty like that. He would have never did us greasy like that. Yeah. So, you know, I do think the game has hella potential, but shit like that, and I mean, again, like you said, you got to blame the game, but at the same time, man, like you said, at the same time, players have to look, like, the community's got to look at themselves and be like, that's why you might want to be unbiased, and that's cool. Totally cool. Good thing about me is I don't have to be unbiased. You brought me here to give my opinions, and that's why, look, I don't give a shit if me and you have had 5 years of beef. I don't give a shit if you called me bitch, you said my mother's ugly, this and that. If you want to compete on DMF, I'll let you compete on DMF. I don't care, because it's about the community. It's not about me. It's not about if I like you or not. I've let already several people that I can't stand fight on DMF. Okay? It's not a secret. But the T4H guys, you want to fight on DMF? Okay, take that T4H out of your team, out of your name. because there ain't nobody with those 3 letters on their name. And I have some personal reasons also why not to, because they took it outside of the game and did some malicious shit that included my family. But we won't get into that. Including the game, the reason they won't ever be allowed on a DMF card is you have guys that openly say, I sit in lobbies all night and look for ways to break the game. They openly say that. They're out there spending hours looking for exploits. You are directly related to killing off the game that I like, the community that I love. And this isn't Madden. A small group of 10 people like that can kill off 2,000 people. Because, bro, when I tell you those 10 people are in ranked every single night, and not only are they in ranked chasing off 50 different people each, that's 500 people.
Yeah.
Not only is that 500 people every single night, bro, it's not just that. They're targeting the content creators. They're targeting people like Pry. Now, not only does that make the viewers of that content creator say, oh, this is what the game is? I'm good. I'll stick to Call of Duty. But it also makes the content creators stop playing that goddamn game. They say, this isn't fun. I get sniped all day and people just standing guillotine me over and over. I'm going to go play a different game. And dude, when I tell you that when UFC 4 came out, I was having 300 to 500 people in my stream every day. I would press start stream, I'd go get a drink, I'd come back, there'd be 150 people in my stream. And that wasn't just like the release day. That was from 2 weeks before it came out to 3-4 months after it came out. My subscribers went from 70, 80, 60, 70, 80 to 350. Like paid subscribers monthly. Like, the community's there. It has potential. It's not so small that it can't possibly grow. I've seen it firsthand. That's what my main point I wanted to... I've seen what the community could possibly be. And again, this wasn't like one day. This wasn't like one good stream. This was every day. If I did 2 streams in that day, it was both streams. And it was every day until months of 500 people getting bullied off the game. 500 people getting spammed every day. 500 people saying their favorite content creator gets spammed, going off to a new game. The issues not being addressed from the development team. That shit snowballs. I watched my stream and the streams around me, because it wasn't just me, it was the other streams. The people right now that get 10 viewers on UFC were getting 100. The people right now that were getting 15, 20, they were getting 250, 250. And then streams like me, D-Mart, we were getting 500, without a raid, 500 people in my stream. That's a lot. And 3 months into the game being out, just fucking around on ranked. 7 hours straight of 300, 500 people in my stream. The community's there, but we need, like you said, people to like see what they're doing, whether it's in-game or outside of the game with their behavior. Because it's one thing to be competitive, it's one thing to have banter, but it's when you're making the game and the community just toxic to those around you, like, you're like, it's not gonna, and it goes all the way up. People don't want to sponsor, like, even ESFL has directly been like, we can't get UFC to fucking sponsor us because they don't want to put on an event. Like, one of the things they've talked about is like, the freaking chat and the players, it's so toxic. You got people like quitting out of games when they're losing, lag switching,
spamming
just
invites,
crazy shit.
Like when they did the fight night card with like the UFC players and things. Literally that whole event, people like you wouldn't even believe like would be doing that. Like the chillest people were in chat talking, like being toxic and spamming invites. And you know the glitch on Xbox, once you get them invites going, it goes through your whole list of invites that you missed. So people were just constantly just spamming invites and messing up the broadcast like that. So yeah, a lot of things to fix, bro.
Yeah, and like people will do that, but then like cry because the game isn't getting better. Well, they don't care to make the game better because the community's small. And it goes the opposite way too. It's like the game's small, the community's small because the game's not good, but the game's not good because the community's small.
Right.
If you want the game to get good, the community to grow, whatever, like if you want to stream it, like, man, again, like there was people who went from unaffiliated 1 or 2 viewers to streaming to 50 plus people every day. And it was because they had a couple people that watched them play UFC 3. Then UFC 4 came out, and I watched a bunch of homies of mine that literally went from unaffiliated, didn't even have the average of 5 viewers or 3 or whatever it is, to like 50, 80 subs, like killing it. Because, you know, like the community is there. It's not as small as like people are like, oh, like nobody. Dude, when the UFC game I'm telling y'all, I've been saying with you, that's why I've been trying to create this base for DMF. Because I already know, let alone when the game comes out, when they announced UFC 5, the community is going to start, they're going to start piling in. I'm going to start seeing new faces and old faces that I haven't seen in years. People I haven't seen in 2 years that are going to come in and be like, oh, dude, blah, blah, blah. And they don't need an excuse. Who cares? Tell me straight up. You hated the game. Now a game came out that you like. You don't have to lie to me, brother.
Yeah. You know,
It happens every time.
I heard that.
I think something we can go ahead and add on to. Cody talked about this a little bit a little while ago, but why don't you talk a little bit about, for some people who might not know, the small differences that makes the DMF different than some of the other fight leagues. So a lot of people might think you're like similar to like the ESFL or like you mentioned the PBL for the fight night leagues. But a lot of people don't realize there's some small stuff that makes it a lot more enjoyable to play the game in the competitive setting that the DMF does that some of the other leagues don't do.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and be like, it's a lot more enjoyable, but, you know, obviously there's going to be people who are like, hey, I prefer it this way, I prefer it that way. There's going to be differences. Again, like for me, it wasn't even so much, I'm going to do it better than ESFL, I'm going to do it better than the PBL or these other leagues. It was just like, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And yeah, I feel like the big overall like way to sum it up is like, it really is like I was getting on a little bit earlier. It's like a balance of like little bit of structure, a little bit of flexibility. Like we want it to be like loose. Like it's loose compared to ESFL. We got some guest commentators coming in and out of the booth. Like we got people, you know, we're a lot more loose than ESFL with the where it comes to the commentating, when it comes to the scheduling, when it comes to just I want it to still be like, while there's structure enough to like follow, okay, yeah, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Sundays. Oh, I'm on the prelims, so I'm gonna be at the beginning. Okay, I'm in the main. Like, while you need a little bit of structure at that, like that, I like it to be like, at the end of the day, like, I'm not trying it to. I don't want it to be like black and white, like over the top professional. Like, I want it to be like casual professional.
Yeah.
Like business casual. That's the word. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so with some of the rules, like I want it to be, I don't want it so ridiculous where it's like freak show CM Punk matches and shit like that. But I also don't want Dustin Poirier versus Dustin Poirier. You know what I mean? So we got one of the main things is we try to do like mid-level. We try to cater the fighter picks, like the fighter selection there, to like mid-level guys. Like where it's not the lowest, like CM Punk, where it's slow and boring because both the fighters kind of suck so bad. But it's like you're at the same time, you're not seeing, if it's fight night, Tyson versus fucking Frost, or, you know, I would assume most of them are banning Frost, but, you know, you're not seeing Tyson versus fucking Jack and fucking Joe Louis and fucking Rocky Marciano. Like, you're seeing like some boxers that you might not see in ranked often, but you also might not just see in leagues often, but you also might just not even see in ranked.
Yeah.
Like, most people are going to pick the meta fighters, and it's the same thing for UFC. Everybody's like seen Dustin versus Dustin and Dustin versus fucking, you know, and Usman versus Usman and fucking Usman versus fucking, you know, I mean, I guess welterweight, some certain weight classes are better than others, but, and Robert Whittaker versus Robert Whittaker, Piotr Jan versus Piotr Jan. Like, I just didn't want it to be like that. So we try to cater the fighter selection. We try to cater certain rules, like, so you don't just have, because you're going to have the trolls come in here and there. We've really honestly been blessed to not have much spam at all. Like, there's been a couple guys who have came through. Of course, if you get any group of 300 people, I mean, we've had, I think at this point, almost 300 different people in the past 4 months compete in DMF. So anytime you get that, you're gonna have a couple bad eggs. Mm-hmm. But to try to lower, like, get that as low as possible, we have certain rules. and we've let the community decide the rules too. Like all the rules on there has either been decided as a full community or with the community of staff, like with a large group of staff, or slash in the beginning it was basically in the Discord open, open democracy on the rules. Like, what do you guys want to see banned? What fighters do you guys want to see banned and slash used? Like, and that's what we've really tried to do. And I'm, like I said at the beginning, open-minded to changes still at this point. If I mean, yeah, we're not seeing updates to Fight Night anymore, but I mean, we're gonna bring this right into ESPC Fight Night, the new Fight Night, UFC 5, and when those updates drop, when we're gonna be updating right along with it. I'm trying to keep things as fresh as possible. I don't care about it being like, oh, you can't do that. No, we literally can.
Yeah.
Like, I've had people tell me that, like, oh, but this wasn't banned before. Oh, but this and no, but like, I don't care. We're gonna do whatever's best to make the league best for everybody.
Right.
And I'm not gonna be making the choices. It's gonna be everybody. You guys are gonna make the choices. So if you guys tell me, yo, everybody's using this fighter. Yo, this fighter's OP. Banned. Yo, this technique's OP. I'm gonna look into that one. There's been a couple where it's like, no, you just don't know how to defend. But if you have a general, like, I'm not shutting people down with anything. If you want to see a rule added or changed, bring it up. We'll talk about it. If it's at all like viable, we'll talk. Then I'm gonna bring it up to a vote, and I'm trying to keep it like that going forward. Whether it's over the next couple months, going into the new games, and hopefully we get either ESPC probably early next year, but hopefully we get one of them like this year. I'm thinking UFC 5 is gonna come this year. I know there's a lot of people like, oh, it's not gonna come yet, but we go through this. The last 2 games, we at least for sure. I don't remember 3 ago, but the last 2, 100%, it was like, oh, but they haven't said anything. And then it still came out. I don't think they're going to miss their deadline. They never do. It's set for, if they stay on deadline, it's supposed to be like middle of this year. So I think maybe a month late at tops. I'd be pretty surprised if September rolls around and the game's not out. So with that being said, I mean, shit, we're in beginning of April. I mean, really, actually, almost halfway through. I could see the game being announced in the next month and a half. I mean, within the next 2 months, I think it's gonna get announced.
Yeah, because
I mean, I could be wrong, but last.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just. I just remember 2 years ago, everybody was saying it wasn't gonna happen, and then we got to like maybe June. I feel like it was like June, maybe July, and then they just started rolling shit out. So I'm really hopeful. I've seen what the ceiling could be, and obviously not only that, but it's like the UFC has grown a lot since then. Like, this has been a huge year. Like, the reality is, hey, it sounds kind of cryptic, but COVID was good for the UFC and for MMA. Like, that's just reality. Like, since when COVID shut everything down, the UFC and the MMA were was like the only sport going on. And I know firsthand from doing betting videos and from just watching the lines and watching the gambling aspect, not let alone like come straight. You can see in the numbers, like, the UFC has grown. So I genuinely think the time is now for like not just EA, but like to any company to like, yo, MMA is growing. In a couple of years, MMA is gonna be a big. I mean, it's already big, but like, I genuinely think in 10 years, MMA is gonna be like a mainstream sport.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll ever get to like football, baseball, basketball, but it's gonna be right below that. Like, and I think in 10 years, pay-per-view model is gonna be gone. We're gonna be doing hopefully less than that, maybe even 5 years, but that might be being optimistic. I do think pay-per-view model is gonna go away, which is only gonna grow the sport even more. We'll get more games. We'll get and it's just gonna take the little things. And right now, the community is small enough to where literally individuals can make a big difference, let alone individual like leagues and companies and stuff like that. That's why when we kind of had talked even before this was in the solidified, and we kind of were just like bullshit and talking a little bit about an idea like this, I mean, from then on, I've said like, dude, there needs to be more like this. I would support it. I mean, obviously that's why I'm here. Obviously, you guys are both my boys, but I would support it even if you weren't, because the community needs more stuff like this. So, definitely like what you guys are doing, and I will obviously always support. Hopefully, we get more events, and I do think the community is only going to grow, but it takes everybody, from the viewers, the content creators, the people who run leagues or do anything comp, the media companies and people who are doing videos and interviews, literally anything that, whether it's growing a content creator who plays the game or growing just a big time player of the game or growing the game itself, like all that shit, it makes a big difference. Like the community is small enough again where individuals make a big difference. I remember when when Pry and me both, not to like pat myself on the back, but I remember when UFC 3 was like starting to die, like before they announced 4, and it didn't die like 4 did, but it didn't crash and burn like 4 did. But when it really lost a lot of steam, and it was before 4 got announced, right? Like early 2 years ago, but early in the year, and it was like dead. It was pretty dead. I remember when me and Pry stopped streaming it, it was like, because me and Pry were like the only consistent, like, not that we're like big. This was actually before Pry like honestly blew up on YouTube. Like, but when like both of us stopped streaming it, and those were like honestly the 2 main people that like daily streamed UFC 3. Like Twitch, I literally watched like all the small streamers stop playing it, and I was literally like, damn, like we kind of low key made the game die even more by stop playing it. But fucking, so it goes all the way down. Like if Marshall Mine stops playing, and all the way down to like the smallest streamers. That's why like I encourage everybody. Like, I mean, I encourage people anyways if they want to create content to go out and do it. But especially if you're gonna do anything in the UFC or combat sports space, like you growing only helps me.
Yeah.
And
Vice versa.
we gotta definitely help each other out. So I like what you guys are doing. I think it's like a really cool, like fresh idea that hasn't been done enough. So I think there's a lot of potential for it.
Yeah, and like you said, honestly, like we were just like playing around on commentary. Like I literally said this, I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if somebody did this, And then after we finished the DMF event commentating, I was like, hold on now. Hold on, let me make a little logo right quick. Then I hit up Darkside. I was like, I hit up Darkside. I literally gave Darkside a whole rundown. He was like, oh yeah, you jumped on that, huh? Dang. I texted him like early the next morning. I was like, yeah, bro, I had to jump on it.
And Coty sums up pretty much perfectly in the end, which really, the goal of all of this really is to help grow the community in the end. No one's going to grow. If everybody works together, it's going to be way better and more beneficial for everybody in the end. It's like Coty was saying, if the smallest streamer in the community grows, it still helps him because it just grows the community overall. So, and then vice versa, if Coty keeps growing, it's going to help smaller streamers out in the end too, because it's getting more eyes onto the game and, things like that. So really in the end, all of this, what we're doing here with Combat Esports Media is really just kind of help the community grow and get more eyes out there for the game and get people, really more people involved in the community. I think right now it's a lot of like me type of things in the community when it comes to games like this, where like everybody's just like for themselves type of thing, like all the competitive players and things like that. And I think it's like that because there's not really like a good sense of a community in a way, because we don't have things like this where we like talk to people who are like running the leagues or talk to people who often compete, things like that. It's not really like a sense of community. Like you mentioned Madden and things like that before. Like people in that community like know the competitive players, they know like their styles and things like that because they've seen them in interviews and things like that, and gets the competitive scene more exposure. So I think overall, if we start doing stuff like that, trying to build more of a sense of community, it's going to help everybody out in the end.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
man.
I mean, like you said, there's really not any of that type of stuff. So, like, that's why I think, like you said, it's a lot of me. Look at this sick clip I just got. Look at this knockout I got. This is my win in ESFL. But, like, there's not a lot like, yo, look at this guy's win. Yo, look at this guy. Look what this guy did. Yo, this guy over here y'all aren't talking about. Like, check out this content creator, this league. And, like, yeah, I mean, there's really, like, none of that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, Dude, I don't care if a person and me haven't always seen eye to eye, or if I just flat out don't like you, or if flat out you don't like me. I don't care if you want to compete in my league, as long as you haven't done anything that like is, and really it's not even just done one thing. As long as you aren't actively, like, I don't know how to put it nicely. I don't know. As long as you're not actively fucking up the community that I'm actively trying to build, then I will let you compete in the in the event. That's how I feel like it should be, and that's how it will always be. You could say, "Fuck Cody, I'll destroy him IRL. I would destroy him in game." All this type of, but even if you hate me, we've been beefing. It don't even matter, as long as you're not actively trying to destroy the community. You can play on DMF, and that's how I feel like it should be here. Like, yeah, you guys have friends in the community. You guys have probably people that you haven't always seen eye to eye with in the community, but that's not what you guys are about, and that's kind of the same vibe I'm trying to have over at DMF, where it's like, this is for the community. It's not about like a popularity thing, like, oh, I don't like you, so you can't play with us. Like, it's like, this is for the UFC community. Set your alliances aside. Like, you can have fun, you can be competitive, but like at the end of the day, yeah, you're on this team, you're with this friend group, you're with this friend group, but like at the end of the day, we are one like combat sports community, and it's too small to be like exiling people off like for stupid stuff. Like, you gotta do something serious, man. Like, otherwise, you should, yeah, yeah. With that face tells it all. But otherwise, it's like, let's just grow the community, man. And honestly, holding people like that accountable only helps the community too. If you sit around and say, "Oh no, it's all good, it's all good, it's all good," then other people are gonna do the same shit.
Yeah.
If you really want the community to grow, you say, "No, we aren't supporting people like that." Like, that's what I have told other, like, even I've met a couple of people who seem chill, but they have affiliations with people who have crossed the line. Like, there is being toxic, and then there's taking it to a criminal level, which is, I cannot support that. If I let the community see that I'm cool with that just to benefit myself, it ruins it. Like, then the next guy thinks he can do it too, and then the next guy just does it too because the community doesn't frown upon it. If you want the community to grow, yeah, you want to support, but also you got to call out bullshit. You are making the community less than it would be without you. I'm gonna call that bullshit out. Hopefully, if you get it together and fix that, I'm gonna even let you come back. Like, it's not like, oh, you're dead to me. Like, like it's like life or death. No, it's like, until you get that shit together and stop fucking up a community I'm trying to build, you can't be over here, man. I'm not gonna let you get shine off what I'm building. Like, so, like, and I think you guys should, it sounds to me like we're on the same wavelength with that. Hopefully, like, I'm speaking for you, but it seems like that's what it is, and that's how I feel like it's got to be. Like, same thing, and that was one thing that I wish some other leagues would do. It's like, man, when you call out, if somebody, like, it's one thing, oh, he's unlikable, oh, he has enemies, that's whatever. Like, I don't care, even if it's like some personal, who gives a shit? But like, if you're like disconnecting people, you're doxing people, you're taking it to another level outside of the game, or you're like harassing people like to another level, then people got to call that shit out. Like, no, you can compete under my league, you can be, promoted under my media company, you can be on my YouTube, whatever it may be, once you stop doing that shit. I'm not going to give you any hype when you're like destroying what I'm trying to build. That's really the last point I want to make, because I have had a couple people be like, oh, well, just because you don't like them. No, it's the opposite of that, bro. There's so many people that have came through and had a fight where we had some sort of beef. I've had people even be like, I would play. I saw people in the SFL chat and in the UFC chat like, oh, I would play on DMF, but Coty doesn't like me, or me and Coty had beef. And I literally have messaged several people like, yo, if you want to fight on DMF, you can fight on DMF. It doesn't matter if you don't even have to suck up to me. You don't have to tell me it's all good. You can dislike me and still fight on DMF. It's all good because DMF isn't to, like just about me. It's about, or like Dankh or it's about like just another thing for the community. And as long as you don't utterly cross the line, you're going to always be welcomed. So, that's really about it for me. I appreciate you guys having me. It's been fun. Obviously, again, I'm here anytime, and definitely like what you guys are doing. I think it's something new and fresh, something the community desperately needs. So, if you guys need anything, you already know. Just let me know.
Yes, sir. And that will be it from us. It's been your boy JMMA and Darkside, man. If y'all have not already, please follow us on Twitter, man. That's what we pretty much are like very active at. You get live updates on leagues like DMF, PBL, the ESFL, everything, man. We actually post a video clip, so you don't even have to go back and watch the event. Just look at the clips. We make it accessible. So please go follow us on Twitter. That link will be down below in the description as well. Also, like I said before, all of Coty Dankh's links will be in the description. So if you have personal questions for him about DMF, if you want to join DMF, things like that, and obviously your boy JMMA and Darkside link. Come on, you can't forget about us. You know what I'm saying? But until next time, man, it has been Combat Esports Media. You will see y'all next time. Also, we just got a little scoopy scoop on something this week with UFC Forum, so y'all stay tuned. Can't talk about that, but when the video drop, y'all know. I'll see y'all next time, man. It's been your boy JMMA, Darkside, and Coty Dankh, and we'll see y'all on the next one.